Man, that's something that took me a while to even like master, because I've been like doing creative stuff and business for the past 7 years, but up until 2 years ago is when I actually figured it out. Yeah, I started doing actually making time to do mainly creative stuff. Whenever I'm doing creativity, I don't basically look at the books. I don't do anything that has to do with administrative work. I just make time for creative and make time for administrative. Wow. So funny story. I actually dance a lot. Like literally, whenever I am like writing something, because now going into film more. I actually make time. I go sometimes to my garage and just play music and dance. But in a more practical sense, sometimes I'll just read a book or like write. Just being creative in your creative block, just get out of that space that you were in editing a video or just writing a script and do something different that have nothing to do with your creativity, but something normal, like just going and making coffee and have fun making that coffee. Yeah, I think I have advice for myself too. The one advice that I tell, because nowadays I get people like reach out to me and like, yo, I see that you're doing film. Like, do you have any advice? Because what happens after I create the film? Like, what do I do? So to me, it's like just having that business mind that I mentioned in the beginning, which is having that balance between creative and business, actually sitting down when you have the idea of whatever that creative aspect may be, and planning, marketing, advertising, like all these different things that you can go to youtube.com and literally sit down and watch someone walk you through the whole process. But understanding the business side of it and the creative side of it, and actually making a plan to like tackle each side separately but at the same time. On a very small scale, it's just a documentary about mental health, and the goal is to raise awareness, number one, and the education of it, because that's one thing that I struggle with, understanding what is a psychology, what's a therapist, what's a psychotherapist, what's a social worker. There's so many information that's out there to even understand who do you go to when you have anxiety. What is anxiety? What is depression? This were information that were neglected, and because people just think that everybody knows who they are, but they're hidden, and it's really hard to find a psychologist. And so a lot of people don't even try, because also there's so many levels of help and figuring out how much it is, and when you do, there's insurance problems. So it's just a whole mess. It's just to talk about mental health at a very a specific way, where I'm using social problems to talk about mental illness. My end goal is to open a film studio in Kansas City. Like, I want to bring Hollywood projects in Kansas City. So my goal is to produce about 80 projects, films, documentaries, short films by 2024. And that's why I have a partnership with the city of Kansas City, because I want to make sure that whenever I produce at least 40 of them, I can come back and be like, hey, this is what I have done, and I need funding to open a film studio, and this is the talents that we have in Kansas City. Because I have so many friends that are leaving and going to LA and all these expensive states just to make it. And sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. So that's my end goal. So I'm hoping, after I finish this documentary, I'll have more time to produce a lot of short films that I've actually written, and a lot of like feature films, because I have a very colorful past, and luckily I can write about them now and make films out of it. So yeah, so that's my end goal.